Hello, you're watching KPVN News. I'm Anh Tuấn and we keep you up to date with the headlines. Ministry of National Defense organizes COVID-19 response exercise. Ministry of National Defense praised for COVID-19 prevention and control work. Vinpearl Travel RE starts its operations in Russia. On the morning of March the 4th, the Ministry of National Defense organized COVID-19 response exercise at more than 250 locations in the military. Deputy Prime Minister Viet Nam, head of the National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control, presided over the exercise. General Ngô Xuân Lịch, Minister of National Defense, observed the exercise. Senior Lieutenant General Phan Văn Giang, Chief of the General Staff and Deputy Defense Minister, head of the Ministry of National Defense Steering Committee for COVID-19 Epidemic Prevention and Control, directed the exercise. Senior Lieutenant General Trần Đơn, Deputy Defense Minister, and Senior Lieutenant General Đỗ Căn, Vice Chairman of the General Political Department, attended the event.
Speaking at the opening ceremony, Chief of the General Staff Phan Văn Giang said that the COVID-19 epidemic has undergone complicated developments all over the world. According to the Ministry of Health, as of March the 4th, the world recorded over 90,000 infected cases in 78 countries and territories. In Vietnam, the military forces are isolating over 10,000 people in quarantine areas, while no service people are reported to contract the disease.
The military is the leading force in the fight against the COVID-19. The troops have been tasked with both preventing and controlling the epidemic at military units and receiving Vietnamese citizens and foreigners from overseas who are asked to undergo quarantine at military barracks.
To ensure troops' health for combat readiness mission and epidemic prevention and control, the Minister of National Defense issued a directive on the organization of the COVID-19 response exercise. The exercise has been prepared in a short time. However, affiliated units have promoted high sense of responsibility to be well prepared for this event.
On the morning of March the 4th, Infantry Officer Training School No. 1 held a COVID-19 response exercise under the theme Preparing Barracks for Vietnamese Citizens Returning from Epidemic-Hit Areas.
As the scenario goes, the Ministry of National Defense Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control asked the school to prepare barracks of a battalion for receiving citizens returning from abroad. The school instructed battalions to command affiliated troops to maneuver to other barracks for the reception of citizens. The medical staff and cadets of the school carried out activities to disinfect the barracks, ensured adequate facilities in the quarantine area, and maintained learning and training activities as planned.
In response to the scenario of the exercise on COVID-19 prevention and control at Level 5, the troops of Regiment 102 within Division 308 of Army Corps 1 deployed all measures against the disease when some soldiers have symptoms of the coronavirus infection.
The Regiment Steering Committee on the COVID-19 Prevention and Control decided to isolate all suspected cases of the disease infection while reporting the situation to the upper level. The regimental and battalion level medical staff together check health conditions, classify and move infected cases with serious illness to the hospitals, where others are isolated and treated at the regiment's infirmary. Simultaneously, the soldiers underwent body temperature checks twice a day, so as to timely detect newly suspected cases.
According to the set scenario, after the COVID-19 broke out to Level 5 in Province D, the National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control asked the Ministry of National Defense to deploy an isolation field hospital No. 1 in Sơn Tây Town, Hà Nội, to receive patients diagnosed with COVID-19 symptoms. This hospital is a provisional military medical unit, playing a very important role when the disease breaks out at the highest level. More to follow.
As the scenario goes, immediately after receiving the order of the Ministry of National Defense Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control, the Military Medical University quickly coordinated with Military Hospital 105 under the General Logistics Department to deploy an isolation field hospital number 1 at battalions 11 and 12 of the Infantry Officer Training School number 1, with a scale of 600 beds, ready to expand it to 800 beds, including 11 departments. As reported in the isolation facility of Center X, 3 patients with severe symptoms of breathing difficulty and 8 other patients with symptoms of respiratory infection, high fever, and fatigue will be transported to the hospital.
Trong trường hợp bệnh nhân về nhiều,
in case of a large number of patients, the medical examination department helps to stream the flow of patients appropriately. For the examination department of the isolation field hospital, in addition to the classification and transfer of patients, we must ensure strict infection control for medical staff and patients in order to prevent cross-infection. In the emergency room, patients are quickly assessed for the conditions as well as measuring survival indices. COVID-19 detection test in this field hospital is done in specialized test vehicles. This is a modern and streamlined type of mobile laboratory that meets practical condition in field hospital. In the current complicated situation of COVID-19, the blood reserve becomes scarce in all treatment facilities. To partially overcome the situation, the isolation field hospital number 1 has decided to put into use the frozen red blood cell, a product of its scientific research, the Ministry of National Defense level project of the Military Medical University. Through this exercise, all departments under the isolation field hospital number 1 have mastered professional measures, ensuring the collection and treatment of patients with COVID-19 while preventing the cross-infection during treatment. As part of the exercise, the military force and affiliated troops stationed in Phú Mãn Commune, Quốc Oai District, Hà Nội, joined a COVID-19 response exercise with the community-level outbreak of over 30,000 infected people in a community with 3,000 to 30,000 residents. The scenario goes that in Phú Mãn Commune, 1 case infected with COVID-19 is found. Once reported, relevant forces carried out emergency measures, including strictly controlling travel across the commune, sending medical staff to take samples, check the patient's condition, and send the patient to the hospital for infectious disease treatment, intensifying the mass examination on the epidemic prevention, and strictly complying with preventive measures. In implementation of the COVID-19 prevention and control exercises content-themed, the COVID-19 widely spread in a province at level 5, the Ministry of National Defense Steering Committee on COVID-19 Prevention and Control decided to mobilize the chemical and air defense forces for the disease prevention and control. The scenario assumes that the COVID-19 spread reaches the level 5 of emergency in Province D, with complicated developments. Meanwhile, in X and Y provinces, after there was an affected case recorded, the steering committee started conducting quarantine and other measures to prevent the COVID-19 spread. In response to complicated developments of the COVID-19, a number of localities are unable to meet requirements of healthcare services and run out of face masks and medications. In such circumstance, the Ministry of National Defense Steering Committee decided to order the Air Defense Air Force Service to use helicopters and transport aircraft to promptly transport medical staff, together with medical supplies to support grassroots-level units in the fight against the COVID-19. Directing the COVID-19 prevention and control exercise organized by the Ministry of National Defense, Deputy Prime Minister Viet Nam highly appreciates the efforts of Ministry of National Defense leaders, COVID-19 Prevention and Control Steering Committee, as well as officers and soldiers in the whole military. Currently, the government continues to drastically direct the implementation of the COVID-19 prevention and control measures, especially assigning such tasks to the Ministry of National Defense as preparing facilities, equipment and isolation areas, and taking measures to avoid cross-infection in isolation areas.
The Ministry of National Defense will continue to reinforce medical staff at Army units in the whole military, well prepare for essential medical equipment and supplies, promote research and application of science and technology in disease prevention, and stay ready to cope with any arising situations.
Coming up next, Vinpearl Travel RU starts its operations in Russia. Vietnam boosts exports via e-commerce channel. On March the 3rd, Vinpearl Travel RU, the first overseas subsidiary of Vietnamese resort company Vinpearl, started its operations in Russia. Attending the opening ceremony were Vietnamese ambassador to Russia Ngô Đức Mạnh, Councillor Nguyễn Quỳnh Mai, representatives of Vietnam trade agencies, Vietnam Airlines in Russia, along with many Russian travel agencies. Vietnamese ambassador to Russia Ngô Đức Mạnh said that the presence of the well-known Vietnamese brands in the Russian market will help promote tourism development. Vinpearl is a well-known corporation in Vietnam with lots of resort facilities, especially beach resorts. Vietnam is a friendly destination for Russian travelers. In recent years, the number of Russian visitors to Vietnam has been on the rise. Ekaterina Golibieva, CEO of Vinpearl Travel RU, said that this is a great opportunity for Vietnam to develop tourism. Regarding the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic on the tourism industry, she affirmed that Vietnam continues to be a safe destination.
All 16 patients infected with the COVID-19 in Vietnam have recovered. Up to now, there have been no more outbreaks and new patients. The World Health Organization highly appreciates Vietnam's effort in preventing and controlling COVID-19. Therefore, Vietnam continues to be a safe and comfortable destination for foreign tourists.
As scheduled, Vinpearl Travel RU will coordinate with Vietnam Airlines to conduct more than 160 high-quality direct flights from 4 Russian cities to Nha Trang City and Phu Quoc Islands in 2020. To support Vietnam's small and medium-sized enterprises to develop business operations and build their brands globally, on the morning of March the 3rd in Hanoi, the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency, in collaboration with Amazon Global Selling, kicked off a seminar and training courses on global sales skills via Amazon. At this seminar, Vietnamese small and medium-sized enterprises are provided with skills to access the global e-commerce system. It's seen as an effective way to promote exports amid the COVID-19 outbreak. We're seeking chances to boost our business operations to the US as well as global market through Amazon, and the global e-commerce system gives opportunities for Vietnamese enterprises to make breakthroughs in 2020. The training courses enable Vietnamese enterprises to reach out to over 300 million customers of Amazon, including more than 100 million key customers, as well as millions of wholesale agents from 18 countries. So it's really a big chance for Vietnamese enterprises to access international customers and promote their exports to many countries.
After 3 years of cooperation, I find that Vietnam boasts huge potential for electronics exports, hoping that Vietnamese enterprises would augment collaborations with enterprises, sellers and relevant units to promote the import and export activities.
Accessing export model via e-commerce system is not strange to Vietnamese enterprises. However, the cooperation with trustworthy partners under the assistance of the Ministry of Industry and Trade makes the enterprises more secured to implement the export and import of high-quality products. This is the end of the QPVN News today. Remember to watch our news again at qpvn.vn. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.